Hi folks, I'm Geek here. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties and the microphone was not turned on. But we remediated that, and at about the 1 minute 40-second mark, you should start hearing audio. Sorry about the technical glitch. Yeah, if that doesn't move, then it's not doing anything.
It's red now.
Yeah.
How that works.
Excellent.
We actually have started early. Don't redo the intro.
I'm not sure I can. No, I'll try it. So, again, my name's Jared White. I am a product security architect at VMware AirWatch in our R&D division. So I'm responsible for our penetration testing team as well as our product security incident response team. I'm generally the one out on the front lines taking the blows and the arrows from the customers who are finding security vulnerabilities with our products, which for the last year we have driven down and down since we've introduced some new stuff. So, getting back to the topic of Minecraft, how many of you out there have actually played Minecraft? Cool. All right. So we got some Minecraft players in the audience. We got some expert threat modelers in the audience, and then some of you probably have children who play Minecraft. If you have kids who play Minecraft, I'm here to tell you they are information security experts. They are risk analysis experts. These kids are learning how to live in an environment where they have to secure their valuables against all different kinds of attack vectors. And so today, what I want to talk about is what are the properties of Minecraft that actually lead you to become an expert threat assessor? Because I truly believe that Minecraft is one big threat simulator. Really, there's no other point to Minecraft than playing in one big threat simulator because there's really no goal to the game. So, what we'll talk about today is why Minecraft. Why is Minecraft an important topic to information security? What do they have to do with one another? How are they related? We'll talk about some environmental requirements that we're going to put on our Minecraft application, on our simulator, because what's a product without some product requirements? We'll look at some of the threat profiles that we encounter in the Minecraft universe, so we'll look at some of our attackers. And then we'll also take a look at how we build in Minecraft. We won't spend a whole lot of time on that. It's pretty simple. You stack blocks on top of other blocks. And then we'll actually dive into the threat modeling. And I want to show you guys sort of some of the processes that we think through to come to the conclusions, or rather to come around to building secure infrastructure, secure shelter, feeding yourself. So let's jump right into it. This is a long presentation. I also tend to be long in the tooth, so I don't want to waste a lot of time. So why Minecraft? Well, Minecraft is like basically ubiquitous today. Everyone's playing it. All of the sandbox games that have come out since Minecraft are basically based around the same principle. This sort of like voxel, I think is what it's called, where every little detail in the universe is its own little block that you can interact with and do stuff with. This provides an incredible capacity for creativity and expansion of ideas in a three-dimensional world. I mean, it's so awesome. I'm a 32-year-old dude, and I love Minecraft. For what reason, I'm not sure. Maybe I just like to build. I don't know. I've been playing Minecraft since alpha, so I've been playing Minecraft for about 6 years now. At some point, it just kind of hit me. It's like, dude, because I've been in information security now for 13 years. So at some point, it just kind of hit me. It's like, dude, you're going through the process that you would normally go through to assess a threat and then implement a mitigation for it. So there are obviously clear parallels between Minecraft and information security. When we finish the presentation, I'll point out a couple of those for you, and then I'll show you a quick video, which is really more of a fun thing, just about a bunch of the different ways that I've died in Minecraft. The other thing is there are consequences. There are real consequences in Minecraft for practicing crappy security. Your diamonds get blown up, or your farm gets trampled by a bunch of spiders, or maybe you fall off of maybe you didn't put guardrails on a big pathway going up a mountain and you just slip. And if you're like me, you like to have a couple drinks at the keyboard every once in a while. Maybe your finger just kind of veers off in one direction and you just walk off the edge of the cliff and you die. And maybe there's lava at the bottom of that cliff, and so then you fall into lava. A lot of you probably didn't know you can swim in lava. So you fall into lava, all of your loot falls off of your person, and of course it gets burned up in the lava too. This is pretty much the most frustrating thing that could possibly happen to you in Minecraft, and I'll show you an example of that later. It encourages this like really interesting approach to problem solving. Bad guys can come at you from any direction. They can come at you from any direction in the three-dimensional space. Left, right, up, down. There are environmental factors everywhere throughout Minecraft that pose a challenge to you. There's lava, and even things as simple as just rain. So in Minecraft, the way you navigate generally is with the sun, because the sun always rises in the east and it sets in the west. So if other than at noon I'm totally screwed. I can't find myself. I have no idea where I am in the world of Minecraft at noon. But if it's raining, it actually obscures the sun, so you can't see the sun. So there's no way that you can navigate. So if you're far from home, if you're far afield, you're exploring new territory, you're trying to find maybe a horse or something, because again, that's a thing you do in Minecraft, is walk around and look for horses. And it starts raining, you may not be able to find your way back home. If it's close to dark, you're probably going to be trapped out in the dark somewhere, which means you're going to be bedding down and spending the night in a cold hole in the ground. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. All of this stuff together creates this, for lack of a better term, this sort of intuitiveness about security. It really teaches you how to secure things and how to think through the process of eliminating all of the different attack vectors that might get at you. And of course, mining is like the coolest part of Minecraft. I finally got so I'd been playing Minecraft for 2 years. Finally convinced my wife to play. She had always been saying, like, oh, this looks so dumb. I don't understand. Like, what? Well, you're just like stacking blocks all day. Like, this is stupid. So I finally convinced her to play, and now she will freely admit that mining, the act of mining, is like the most therapeutic thing she can think of. For whatever reason, being down below the earth and like mining, and then like, there's a diamond. Like the first time you see that little blue gleam shining for the diamond, it's extremely rewarding. Okay, I'm telling you, I don't know what it is, but it's extremely rewarding. So here are our product requirements. These probably look pretty familiar to any of you who work in a product environment or you work on a product. Ironically, security, not generally a product requirement. They are at VMware AirWatch, but so we have some requirements that we're going to impose some of these on us, and some of them are just a basic requirement of the game. So your security requirements, feeding yourself. You do get hungry in the game, so you have to feed yourself. And because you're going through physical activity, you're sort of exhausting yourself, so your hunger meter ticks down, and eventually when you're hungry, you start losing health. So hunger can actually lead directly to death. Who would have thought? And then, of course, you have to protect yourself and your assets. That goes without saying. You do that by crafting weapons and putting on armor. You do that by not going outside at night, or if you do, you do so in a very controlled way. And of course, you have to live somewhere. I suppose you could just be a Minecraft drifter. I can't think of anything more depressing. But you could just wander aimlessly around the Minecraft world and do nothing. And then light, fire. This is a basic thing going back like 10,000 years, right? We got to have light and fire in order to thrive. Performance requirements, right? You want to be able to get around quickly. If you're like me, you have a bunch of different settlements. I tend to make like a big castle, and then I get bored with it. And then I'm like, well, let me go to a different biome, and I'll make a new castle, and then I'll add 3 ramparts on this one, because that's just how I think. And I want to get in between all of those really quickly, because sometimes I will leave loot at one of them, and I'll be over at my other castle crafting a potion or something, and I'm like, I left my, Eye of Newt or whatever, at this other castle. Crap, now I've got to run back all the way to this other castle and grab it. So you want to be able to get around efficiently. You can run, you can ride a horse, you can even take a rail. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Everything needs to be practical too. You don't want to go super far out of your way to do something. A perfect example of this is if you build your settlement in a I think it's called a taiga biome. It's sort of like I guess it's like a tundra, but there are no trees. And wood is really a very central part of Minecraft. You need wood in order to make tools. I mean, you can't do anything in Minecraft without wood. So if you're in a biome that doesn't naturally have a lot of trees, you got to run somewhere to get those trees, and that's a pain in the butt. Now, once you find a couple of them, you can build a farm where you are, and then you can start raising your own trees, which is the responsible thing to do. So that's something that you want to make sure you get out of it as well. When you go down into your mines, you don't want to leave a tower that's like way up in the sky. So this is the thing with sky cities, right? They look so cool. But if you build a sky city, where are you going to mine? You got to take this crappy elevator or something all the way down into the earth, and then you do your mining, and then you got to cart all that crap all the way back up. It's a pain in the butt. So they look really cool, but they're not very practical. And then, of course, user experience. You need convenient access to resources, which we kind of touched on already. If there's not something nearby, you probably don't want to stake down there. You want to make sure you have easy access to different biomes. So again, I don't recommend putting your little palace like somewhere out in the corner of nowhere where you can't easily reach other stuff. You want access to livestock and wild game. So you also want to be free to explore, right? And this is kind of one of our like fun requirements, right? What's the point of playing Minecraft if you can't walk around, you can't explore the world? But all these other requirements still apply to this, right? So if you're going to do this, you've got to do it safely. So let's look at a little bit of each one of these categories one by one. So first we'll talk about security. Diamonds. Beautiful, 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 sweet, delicious diamonds. This is what I live for in Minecraft. I don't know. I keep a stockpile. That's a totally fake stockpile, by the way. I just crafted those blocks and like stuck them there just to be egregious. But I don't have that many diamonds. But this is kind of one of the main things that you're interested in safeguarding, because you use diamonds to build armor and you use it to build tools, and you use it to build the most efficient kinds of tools, the tools that don't break or wear out very quickly. So again, we're going back to that sort of efficiency requirement. You want to do everything efficiently. But Minecraft has all of these trade-offs, right? Well, if you want diamonds, you got to go mine for them, and guess what? Mining's not easy. There's tons of monsters down below the earth. There's lava, giant cliffs, big gashes in the earth, all kinds of stuff. But this is one of the main things that we're really interested in safeguarding is our loot. The other thing is our food, farms, and livestock. We need to make sure that this stuff is secure, because if it's not secure, we run out of it, we run the risk of dying. Especially if you're a good neighbor, you might want to just grow a little bit extra for the guy next to you. As you can see here, my friend Andrew has grown quite a bit of stuff. Is this a pointer? Maybe not. All right, so this is a chest just full of wheat. But in the old versions of the game, monsters could actually come through your farms and could like trample them and kill your produce. So like when monsters would come out at night, if you didn't have things properly segmented, network segmentation, right? They would come through and they would trample all of your fruit and your food and kill everything, and you wake up the next morning, you'd be a really sad panda. So that has changed a little bit, but I still tend to, just out of habit, I still tend to put fences around all of my farms. He doesn't. I think he started playing in beta whenever it was that wasn't the case. You'll also notice lights everywhere. You're going to see lights. So we'll get to that in a second. And then, of course, the obvious: your shelter, your infrastructure, and your work sites. All the places where you're going to be spending your time in Minecraft have to be secure. Monsters spawn in the wild, and they just like wander around. So, you'll be working, digging some dirt, something like that. You'll turn around, boom, there's a monster like right in your face. And it's probably a creeper, and he's probably going to explode, and he's probably going to take all of your loot with him. So you really want to make sure that all the areas that you dwell in, that you work in, and all that good stuff, have proper segmentation, that you take sort of a layered approach to security. You use fencing and blocks and things like that to keep monsters pushed back. We'll get more into that later. This is actually a railroad station, so you can see it's sort of like this enclosed, secure area. It's endpoint protection. You always want to make sure that you make your endpoints on your rails very secure, because monsters can actually wander up into the stations, then onto the rails, and then that makes for a really bad situation, as you can imagine. You don't want to be careening along in a cart and then hit a creeper and then it explodes. That's also a denial of service attack, because it will take out your rail as well. Performance, we talked a little bit about that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Efficient transportation, that goes for both rails and conventional footpaths. It also goes for stairs. You actually become hungry faster if you're running on dirt or gravel or inefficient surfaces. So you want to make your roads out of cobblestone, or you want to make them out of smooth stone, or you want to make them out of stone brick. You're looking surprised, man. It's true. You got to do all of this stuff. What's that?
Is that new?
No. New as of beta. It's probably a 1.7 feature. But you actually will lose hunger quicker if you're not running on a good surface. But I think anything cobblestone and above will solve that problem. So again, the next one, user experience. I have permanency here because to me this is a really big part of what I like to do. This is the Kingdom of Gilead. For anyone who's read the Dark Tower series, you'll know where I stole that from. This is one of my bigger little projects that I worked on. I probably spent a year screwing around with this on the server me and my friends played. As you can see, I've got like a big exterior wall there. There's a castle in the middle, which only I live in. No one else can live in the castle. That's for me. All these other crappy little houses around here are for the other people. We've got actually, there's a blacksmith shop somewhere. But I like to set up shop somewhere and then just like build a little city around me. That's what's a good user experience for me. My wife, she moves places like every month. She will mine the hell out of a place. Basically it's just like a big cavern underneath it, and then she'll just move on somewhere else and start mining again, and she'll build a new castle and all this stuff. So, and exploration obviously is really important. You want to explore. Without exploring, you can't get the minerals and the ores and the things like that you need to build your tools, and without that, you really can't build all these super cool structures and creative things that you want to do. So it's really important that you're able to do that. So let's talk a little bit about the Minecraft environment. So it's a dangerous world out there. Minecraft is fraught with peril. Some of the different ways that you can die here, because you can be shot in the face, you can be blown up by a creeper, you could fall in lava, you could starve to death. I mentioned getting lost whenever it's raining. That's a really serious one. And of course, hubris is one of my favorites. I had a friend a couple of years ago who I finally got to come onto my Minecraft server. I'm like, yeah, man, come play with us, you know. So he doesn't know anything about Minecraft. So he comes on, he picks out a good location for his little fiefdom, you know. He's like, okay, I like this spot. This is cool. Builds himself a little, frankly, crappy house. And so he's like all happy and everything with it. Builds himself a little bed inside it. Puts his chest with all of his diamonds and stuff right next to the bed. Dude does not think, he does not even consider what is under the floor of his house. All right, doesn't even think about it. So he also hasn't been playing Minecraft very long, so he hasn't intuitively learned all of these things about how to secure your property. Man, I just keep hitting that button. So what happens? One day he's working in the yard, he comes back inside, forgets to close his door, creeper follows him right inside. So he walks over to his chest, and he's got his chest open, he's digging around in his chest, and I just hear on Skype, just, ah! You know, and I'm like, dude, what's going on? What's going on? He's like, man, freaking creeper just came in my house and blew. Not only did the creeper blow up his chest and his bed and all of this stuff, if your bed gets blown up, by the way, you go back to the spawn point. You have to respawn at the center of the map, and then you got to run back to your house with no food, no weapons, no armor. It's really quite a crappy situation. There was a pool of lava underneath his house that he did not delve deeply enough or check for, and so when the creeper blew up the floor beneath his house, he actually fell through the floor into the lava, and so did all of his stuff. So he rage quit. It's very common in Minecraft. We rage quit once a week or so. So he rage quit. I actually did not see that dude again for another month. But he did eventually get a little bit better. So that's why I say hubris. That is definitely a way you can die in Minecraft. So now we'll look at some of our attack vectors, some of our threats. Some of this is a stretch, so bear with me. Just hang tight with me. Hang in there. Creepers, by far my least favorite enemy in Minecraft. These things are the worst. Of course, the properties that they have are denial of service. They will blow up your sidewalks. They will blow up your railways. They will blow up a corner of your home. They will blow up your chest. They will blow up you. Creepers are the only enemy in the game that can actually destroy your possessions. If a creeper blows you up and you die, you drop all of your loot, and the creeper's explosion blows that up as well. So there's really no situation where you get blown up by a creeper where it doesn't just suck. It's terrible. What? All right. Okay. So we say they have denial of service properties there. All the monsters have remote access properties, and the reason they have remote access properties is because they spawn anywhere there isn't enough light. So I could make this really awesome room with stone walls and thick walls and, then leave it completely pitch black dark, and it would be full of monsters. If I walked away for 5 minutes and came back to it, it would be full of monsters. So monsters spawn anywhere that the light level isn't high enough to keep them from spawning. And that's something that, frankly, I learned the hard way, just sort of over years of playing Minecraft. And we'll kind of take a quick look at some of the gridding that I use to make sure I don't waste light, but I get the most effective use of my light to keep monsters away. And it's just something we've kind of figured out. I'm sure there are things out on Minecraft Wiki and stuff like that have different ways of approaching it, but this is how we do it. Skeletons, Skeletons kind of suck. They're a bit of a race condition. They shoot at you faster the closer you get to them. Not really a race condition, but and they're remote code execution because they do shoot you. They can stand on the opposite side of a chasm and shoot you across the chasm. They can also shoot you over your fence or over your wall. So in that way, they really suck. And like everything else, they do spawn in the dark. So if you have a dark area, they will spawn there. Zombies tend to be your buffer overflows and your brute forces. They also will bite villagers, and if they infect a villager, the villager becomes a zombie. So in that way, they're somewhat like a virus, I guess. These just use really just sheer numbers to sort of overwhelm you. And actually, at the end of the video that I have, I'll show you a funny video if we have time where a bunch of zombies killed me. But these also knock down doors. That's why they're brute force. So they will actually come up to your house, and if they see a wooden door, they will bang it down and come into your house. Pretty terrifying. And they make all of these monsters, by the way, make these awful sounds too. Like you can always hear them in the environment. That's part of the psychological mind play that Minecraft does with you. Is there's a monster literally 5 blocks from you on the other side of a wall. You can't see him, but you can hear him, and that freaks you out a little bit. And then finally, spiders. Spiders suck. They also will climb over. Spiders climb, so they climb over walls. They climb over fences. They also leap at you. Cave spiders are particularly nasty. They live underground, and these are cave spiders. Can everyone see this, or is this too much light up here? Can we dim the lights just a little bit by any chance? Because I have a feeling I'm going to have the same problem in because a lot of these screenshots were taken underground, sort of in the dark, so awesome. Thank you, sir. So these nasty little buggers will definitely kill you, and they bite you, and it also poisons you, and then you lose damage over time. So many times I've thought I was getting away from the spiders, and then the poison ultimately killed me. So those suck too. Now, one thing I want to say real quick before we get into the rest of this is that we've mentioned so far 4 monsters. There are actually 15 monster types in Minecraft. And so we certainly don't have time to go over all of them, but each of them attack you in a different way. Each of them have different properties. Some of them actually teleport. So again, this is a very shallow look at threat modeling in Minecraft. You can really go much deeper with this if you look at all the different monsters and attacks. So what are our building blocks? What do we have to work with? We've got all these requirements. We've got this world. We've got these attackers. What do we get? What do we get to use to protect ourselves and protect our loot and make sure that we don't get killed by spiders every day? So we have blocks. Everything in Minecraft is based sort of on a block, and you just stack blocks on other blocks. You use blocks to build your structures, but you also use them to do sort of fencing and barriers and barricades and things like that. There are also fences. You can make wooden fences. Human players can't jump over the wooden fences, but spiders can climb over them, and skeletons can shoot over them. And creepers can blow them up. So I tend to make my fences 2 blocks tall so that spiders can't shoot, or so that skeletons can't shoot me through them. And again, all of this stuff is sort of used for perimeter defenses, right? This is meant to drive your perimeter sort of farther and farther back. You can think of this as building your DMZ, right? You want these monsters to be as far away from your bed and your chest full of loot as possible. And the way you do that is by building a very large perimeter that pushes them farther and farther and farther back. I did mention skeletons can shoot you over a fence. There's a great shot of me getting shot by a skeleton many, many times over a fence. So that sucked. This is actually the front gateway of that big aerial shot that I was showing you earlier. So here's a quick look at some of the different blocks. This is not an exhaustive list of blocks. These are the ones that I probably tend to work with most frequently, and also the ones that most people are familiar with. They do sort of go up as you go to the right in sort of resilience and strength. So obsidian, strongest block in the game. Creepers can't blow it up. You can't blow it up with TNT. I don't think so anyway, unless something's changed. You can't blow up obsidian, but the downside to obsidian, like many security things, is it's very costly. So you can build a whole house out of obsidian if you want to. You know how you get obsidian? You have to find it naturally underground where lava meets a water source and hope that it doesn't turn it into cobblestone, because if water touches lava, it turns into cobblestone, but if lava touches water, it turns into obsidian. I don't know. There's some weird property for how it forms. Generally, you find it naturally underground, and you can only mine it with a diamond pick. You cannot mine it with an iron pick, a wood pick, a stone pick, anything else. So again, we have these escalating series of requirements and dependencies that mean if I want the strongest material in the game, I've got to mine and work for it to get the diamonds, to build the tools, to produce the strongest material in the game. So these are all sort of organized from left to right in terms of strength. You would never build a dirt house. You probably wouldn't build a sand house. These also don't have any physics properties attached to them. Generally, the ones that you'll see are sand and gravel. Those will actually fall. So, God, I'm the worst. So you can take a block of obsidian and stick it to the side of another block of obsidian with no support under it, and it will not fall. Sand and gravel actually obey our real-world laws of physics, so you can't like stick them up somewhere. They will fall down. They don't make great materials to build houses out of. And neither does wood. I'll tell you a quick story about that. Way back when I first started playing, on the first server that I played on, I thought it would be really cool to build myself like this big wooden villa. Like I thought, like I'll be like Erasmus or like one of the kings of old or something like that, right? I'll have this like awesome giant villa. So I built it. It was really cool. It was very big. It had all the stuff I wanted in it, even a little train track inside that I could just ride around on, because, I don't know. Don't ever give me $1 million. If I get $1 million, I'm going to be the most eccentric person in the world. So I also thought, man, you know what you need? You know what your house is missing? Missing a fireplace. You need a nice, cozy fireplace. So I got some stone, which I'm like, you know, if you're going to build a fireplace, build it out of stone. That makes sense. You wouldn't put a wood fireplace in a real house, would you? Nah, that's stupid. So built the fireplace out of stone, neglected one tiny little block where the fire pit was actually touching the wood. So lit the fire, and whole thing went up. My wife was actually standing behind me when that happened. I think she was like walking behind me, and she's kind of like, and just like, to this day, she even told me before I came here, she's like, make sure you tell them a story about how your house burned down. And I laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. I'm like, yeah, I'll be sure to relay that uplifting tale. So don't build your houses out of wood, y'all. That's what I'm getting at there. Not a great material to build your house out of. I prefer the aesthetic of the stone brick because I think it looks much more contemporary. So anyway, let's jump into the threat modeling. So this is where we'll actually start looking at some of the different challenges. So the process that I want to take is kind of like, you guys are all experts at Minecraft anyway. So I'll show you a picture, and then you tell me what's wrong with that picture. We'll threat model it. We'll literally threat model it. How many of you do threat modeling today in your organizations? One dude. 2 dudes? 3? Okay, so 3 people threat model today out of like 15. That is terrible. We really need to be doing some more threat modeling up in here. Everybody needs to do it. Is anybody on a red team? You're on a red team? You don't do any threat modeling? You don't help the rest of your organization do threat modeling?
Kind of. We do the expectation side.
Okay. Yeah.
We do see it. I just don't do it.
Yeah. You're like the threat. Yeah. All right. So everybody should be threat modeling. Always be threat modeling always. Or something. You can take that one. You can use it. It's pretty good. Always be threat modeling always. Everyone needs to be doing this in their organizations. We do it as part of our software development lifecycle. So each team that produces an application or a product, of which we have like 24, is responsible for producing their own threat model, and they're responsible. And we use the Microsoft threat modeling tool. We use the Microsoft process for threat modeling. So it's really good because we are seeing the developers and the security and the people who aren't security people who don't have security backgrounds, like we're really starting to see it click with them. It's just something that we've had to really push and corral them into doing over the last year. And now that they're doing it, they're actually picking out things in the threat model that we don't find because they know their product better than we know their product, which is how it should be. So really encourage all the organizations out there, if you don't have a threat modeling program, really push that, really drive to get something like that in place. It's really important. All right, let's jump into it. Ah, look at this picturesque little mansion, house, shack, dwelling of some sort. So this looks nice enough. What's the problem here? Yeah, there's no fencing. That's a huge problem. No light. You nailed it. One other thing that we didn't talk about is where monsters spawn. Monsters spawn on any material with a few exceptions. They won't spawn on glass. They won't spawn on half blocks, what we call slabs. But it's not always good to use those types of blocks. You don't always want to use them in your construction. So you don't always use them. So what that means is monsters will actually spawn on top of this house too. So let's take a look at yeah. So I added these animations like an hour ago, so it's not going to go well. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You've got no gap, basically. You've got no perimeter between the house and this terrifying, frankly, Bavarian-looking forest back here. Like, only bad stuff can come out of there. And then, of course, you've got no lighting on the top of your house. So let's take a look at night. Yeah, that's what it looks like at night. My wife is trapped in her house, and there are monsters outside. And what you can't see on the other side is the line of monsters going around the other side. And I'm actually quite surprised no spiders had spawned on the roof yet. But then we did another exercise a little bit later, and spiders, like 3 spiders spawned on the roof. So this is a nightmare. This is just asking for it. If you build a house like this in the middle of the prairie, it might be very cozy and quaint and cute looking, but you will die. There's also no other way out of this house. I mean, I could dig a tunnel out of it, but you want to do that every time your house gets surrounded by monsters. The best thing you want to do is build yourself a perimeter. Give yourself some buffer between that evil, scary, dark forest out there and your actual property. And this is kind of what it looks like on the other side of the house too. Hi! There's just a skeleton hanging out there waiting to shoot me in the face. So that's kind of looking out the back window. But they just surround the house, right? And then you got no way to get out. Skeletons and zombies catch fire when the sun comes out, so you can kind of ride them off for a little bit. You can wait until the sun comes out. You can buy yourself some time. However, what I have seen them do is they'll like hang out in the shade. They'll like find a tree and they'll like park their ass under a tree and just like wait for you, and then they'll shoot you. So I don't like having monsters all around my house. Oh, the other thing you don't want happening is walking out of your door to find a spider thorax on your face, because they will jump right off of your roof onto your head as soon as you walk out of your door. So that's an undesirable property as well. So we can improve on that. It's cool though. You guys have already pointed out a couple of ways to improve, so we'll improve on it. We added a fence. That's an improvement. We also built a house dangerously out of wood. Don't worry, it doesn't catch on fire in this presentation. So this is better, right? We have a buffer. We've got a little sidewalk going in. We've got this fence. This fence gives us a lot of space in the yard. And we've even got a little donkey there. Look at our little donkey. I never find donkeys. You can actually use them to pack stuff around. You can use them as a cart. I never find any, though. And then, of course, the one time I'm building something solely for a presentation on another server that I don't play on, they spawn a bajillion donkeys. So what's wrong with this? Someone pointed it out earlier. No light. Yeah, there's no light. So you're going to have bad guys all up in your yard. So there's a creeper, there's a skeleton, and actually on the other side of this, which we don't see, there was an Enderman, which we haven't talked about, and a creeper. So this is crappy. Again, you're back in the same situation that you were. You put your firewall up, you just left all the ports open. You didn't protect your inside here at all, and so as a result, you're probably going to have a bad day whenever you walk out of your house here too. So it actually looks a lot better if we do it this way. Now, the only problem here is that we still didn't light the roof. So spiders could theoretically spawn up there. But overall, this is a much better way of doing it. And I think these are 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. So these should. I put lights down in a grid pattern every 5 blocks. And what it does is it gives me the light level that I need so that monsters don't spawn in these like sort of dark areas. And it also produces this beautiful pattern from the overhead map. I'm just weird for symmetry and stuff like that. But so this is good because nothing will spawn in here. Now, what I would actually do as well is I would probably put lights on the fence perimeter as well. There's one other problem. There's one other flaw with this. Can anyone see it? You talking about this thing here? Yeah, this freaking pointer doesn't work. Forget it. Yes, you're right. So this looks good. We've made some improvements. Not so fast. So there is a little ledge back here, and as you can see, there's a hill up here, and it's all dark and scary, and monsters spawn up there. And they just come down this hill and just drop right into your fence. So you lit things, you put a perimeter there, you made a house, you put all your valuables inside of it, and you left that stupid thing there. And that will get you every time. I have died so many times by this, by overlooking an overhang or something like that. So what I do is I actually just light way out. I light 300 blocks out from where I live. And then it's just no monsters are anywhere in my perimeter. But this is terrible, so this will definitely make you cry. This is not a good situation that you want to be in. That's my wife who's about to die. I'm not saving her. I'm doing the screen caps, so I don't know. Anyway. So here's an example of what I consider to be kind of an interesting. Someone on my server made this. I don't know, it just popped up overnight. I have no idea where it came from. It's just someone who was playing on my server at one point. And you can see what they've done is they built this like little keep here, which I think is ugly as homemade sin. But then they put this little moat around it, and then they put a fire moat around it. The kings in the 16th century were well known for putting lava moats around their castles. But anyway, so you actually have two layers here that a monster would have to get through. Now, monsters will swim through water. So your first layer, that doesn't give you a lot. But your lava layer, actually, monsters will not go through. Skeletons can shoot over it, of course. And it also gives you a lot of light. Lava emits natural light. And so it will actually light the perimeter of your surface of your structure as well, so that no monsters are going to spawn in there inside the perimeter as well. Now, I kind of find this to be, frankly, a pain in the butt. I would never build something like this. And then also, he's got these two little bridges there that anything could just walk over. So there's a couple of gaps there, but I mean that's sort of a defense in depth, approach. And then I would also light this whole perimeter area, and I sure as hell wouldn't put any chests out there on the other side of that river. I don't know what he was thinking, but that's just asking for your stuff to get blown up by and look how close they are together. All 5 of those could get blown up by a single creeper. Oh.
So that's actually a good analogy for a firewall and IPS, because like a lava is going to prevent everything and whatnot. But if you've got a web application published to your firewall is literally not doing anything.
It's true. Anything you have open through, right? I mean, any ports you have open, any access you have open.
Offsite backups too.
What's that?
Jets are a good analogy for offsite backups.
Yeah, you can't trust them, can you? Or they're in the cloud. I don't know. Either way, they're not inside where they should be.
Well, no, all your backups are in one spot.
That as well. Yes, very good point. I hope they're. I'm going to go home and actually check in those checks. I don't know what's in them. I guarantee you it's diamonds, though. So this is sort of the overhead map of my world. This is what we were just looking at. That's the little castle we were just looking at. And what I want to point out is how these grids look from the overworld. So pleasing. Look how they're just like equally spaced, and they don't leave any gaps in there. These are places where I have farms, so it's a little harder to get lighting to fit into those. And then I've got some stuff growing over here where there's a little bit of a dark spot. But I use other methods to try and keep monsters from spawning there. Now, what you don't see, because only one of my friends did it, was actually light a road all the way to his house. He's actually the one who came up with this method that we use for lighting. And he just makes really well defended, awesome stuff. What you can't tell about that is that little spot that you see is on an island. So he found a place in the middle of 2 rivers where 2 rivers meet. I guess it's like Pittsburgh or something. But he found a little island where 2 rivers meet, and that's where he built his fortress. And then he made one little bridge into it, and he put a gate on that bridge and a second gate after it. It's kind of like a man trap. So nothing gets in there. And then this is my place, and I always have to build these giant towers because I'm an egomaniac. So we zoom in a little bit more. You can see every 5 blocks. It's gridded out pretty well. There are definitely still some dark areas, but monsters won't spawn in here. I haven't seen any spawn in there yet. And they also won't spawn on these farmed blocks. This is a wheat farm, and they won't. I said wheat. And they won't farm. They won't spawn on those blocks either. So this is just kind of a zoomed in example of what I was just showing you. Now, this is the city that I was showing you to begin with. So getting back to the original picture that we looked at in the threat modeling slide, this is a layered approach. This is defense in depth. We've got an outside wall here, which is, I think I made it 10 blocks high, and it has a lip on it, an overhang, so spiders can't crawl up it. They can't climb out and up and over. So they hit the lip and they can't climb up anymore. Although, ironically, I saw a spider crawling over it the other day. Something may have changed with the game engine. This map is from 2014, so it's 2 years old. So, you know, I've got the external, actually, I've got an external fence. You can see the fence at that top red line. That's a fence. Then inside that fence, I light everything. Then I've got the giant wall, which surrounds my city. And then, of course, all of my stuff has to be 3 deep in this castle. And it's actually downstairs in this castle, deep below the castle. So that's where I put all of my goodies. But anyway, that's a real sort of layered approach. All right, we got to shag ass because I'm. Now let's look at storage. So storage seems like it would be pretty straightforward, and it is for the most part. You want to make sure that you keep your valuables somewhere safe. You want to make sure that they're enclosed in sort of this like layered, again, this sort of layered approach. That's a terrifying screenshot there for anyone who plays Minecraft because that creeper is way too close to my chest, and if I wasn't in creative mode right now, this would make for a really depressing situation. But you never want this to happen. This is bad. This is like having your, I don't know. This is like taking your tax returns and throwing them in the trash can at your office, which I found last week, someone's tax returns, and I was polite enough to put them in the shred bin. But that's about what this amounts to. And of course, creepers have a sense of humor too. So you might think, okay, I got that. I'll put these inside my house. Then a creeper can't get to them. What you going to do then, creeper? Wrong. You have 1 block separating your chests full of diamonds from a creeper on the outside. If that dude blows up, he's taking your chest with him. Never, ever, 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 ever put chests against an exterior wall. If something blows up on the outside of that wall, it will take your stuff with it. I learned that lesson the really, really, really hard way. And I don't tell anyone else about it because I like to see them learn it the really, really, really hard way. So that's a no-no, and that puts you in the danger zone! No Archer fans? Man. All right. Anyway, I tried. So this is another thing that you can do. You can elevate your storage, right? So here's another example where I did that. You have the ground level here where you can kind of come in. And I haven't kept this place up really well. And actually, I knocked off this wall so we could see a cross-section of it. Usually there's a wall there. Fortunately, it's Minecraft. It's really easy to put back. So, this is really 3 levels up that I have these chests. Now, interestingly, there are a couple of things wrong with this, obviously. There's no gate here. Monsters can just walk in. The outside here, though, is lit up pretty well. You can tell from all the lights out here. So I've lit this up pretty well. And then, of course, there's a stairwell, which a monster is happy to walk right up as well. But then from there, they would be on the 2nd level. They couldn't get up to the 3rd level because it requires a ladder. So that's one thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do is store them deep underground, which is what I tend to do because I like to have my chests and my materials in my foundry where I smelt all my ore and all that stuff. I like to have it sort of between my dwelling, which is up here, and the mines where I mine in, which are down here. So I like to kind of have stuff in the middle there. So those are your options. And then here's kind of another. I made this like real quick. It's not great. So this is the entrance to the thing. Then you turn right, you go down this stairwell, all the way down this stairwell. It's about right here where you pop out into this room. So this is way far down. And it's so well lit going all the way down, it may not look it, but monsters won't come back up it either. So I've kept any monsters from coming back up the steps. No monsters spawn down there, and all my stuff should be safe. And now we can look at transport. Transport is what I think is kind of the most interesting and probably the most analogous to actual information security principles other than maybe the landscaping and the perimeter protections. Transport is really important because Minecraft doesn't have an auto run feature. So if you want to run somewhere, you have to like hold the button the entire, well, yeah, that's not going to happen, right? I'm in IT. I'm going to find a way to script that out or do something. I'm not going to sit there and hold that button the entire time. So what you do is you build railroad tracks. And railroad tracks basically convey you from one point to another, and you don't actually have to touch anything. So it's a really nice way to take a break, grab a beer, get a cup of coffee, whatever you want to do while you're going to your next dwelling. But let's start with footpaths. Anyone want to walk down that footpath? What about at night? Yeah, that's terrifying. I wouldn't even walk that in the day. Like, look at all these shadows and stuff over here. I don't know. This is a gravel footpath. It's not very good. It's not efficient. You will lose hunger while you're running down it. And it's cut through the middle of a dark forest, which sounds like it's a terrible idea. Monsters will spawn on either side of the road, and they will attack you. Skeletons will stand on the side, and they'll shoot you. You might run into a creeper. Actually, when I was doing this, I did run into a creeper on the road. So this is a bad example of a road. This is not how you want to do your transport. This is like HTTP 1 with no SSL or anything like that. All right, cool. So we'll add SSL2 to it. So now we got some lights. At least stuff is not going to spawn right on the path, and you won't lose hunger by running down it. And I usually tell people, ooh, we got to book it. I usually tell people if you're, gosh, where was I going with that? If you run quickly enough, you should be able to get through here without getting attacked. You just really got to haul ass. So this is one upgrade from the road we were previously looking at. But there's a better way to do it. Here's a rail. So we've got our rail, and we have to light the rail. These aren't actually torches. These don't give off a lot of light. These are called redstone torches. In the game, there's actually a whole like computer programming API that you can manipulate in game, and that's way outside of what we're going to get into today. But there is literally an API that you can interact with as part of the world. I'll just say that again. There is literally an API in the game that you can build a cell phone with. So anyway, can anyone identify a problem with this railroad?
It's very ineffective. It costs a lot of resources to make.
Well, that's true. There's
a lot of iron and redstone and gold to get all that.
Very true. So he brings up a good point. This is an advanced sort of, I don't want to call it end game because there is no end game, but this is sort of an advanced thing that advanced societies in Minecraft would have. There's another problem with this though too. You see it? It's on the ground. Monsters spawn on the ground. What you don't want to do is run into a monster as you're going down your railroad. Because if it's a creeper, they stop what?
It makes you go backwards.
That's true too. That's true too. So you don't want to run into an enemy while you're going down your railroad path. So there's a simple solution for this too. We elevate that bad boy. We put it 20 blocks up in the air, and now monsters won't spawn on the ground, and they won't wander onto our track. And we had to light the track as well. If you don't, monsters will spawn on the SkyRail track as well, and you're right back where you started from. So elevating the track, making sure that it's well lit, and then as I pointed out earlier, it's kind of hard to see. This is one of my newer cities, and that's an endpoint, right? That's a rail station. That rail station is also 20 blocks off the ground. There's a door that you got to get in to get through it. Then you walk up a stairwell. No way for monsters to get in there. And it's well lit inside, so monsters won't spawn there either. How am I looking? Okay, cool. So this is what we use for transportation across our world. I spend weekends doing this. I don't know. It's horribly wasteful, but so we have a big railroad track that just runs around the world. And at one point, we had, and I know you're going to say, well, how would you know this? I have one of the people who plays on my server is like a Minecraft celebrity. She's kind of a big deal. You probably don't know her, but her name's Dutroid, and she actually helped me work on this presentation a little bit. But at one point in the alpha stage, we actually had the longest railroad of any other Minecraft world that was like publicly available. And this was before redstone blocks, or this was before booster rails existed. So we actually used this really hacky way of pushing rail carts faster by running them alongside another rail cart for a short period of time, and that rail cart would propel it off, and we just put the propeller rail cart on a little just circle. And so your rail cart comes by, the other rail cart is sitting right there next to you, you hit it, it goes around the circle, but it propels your cart off of it. That was a real expensive way to do it, man, because then you had to build all these extra tracks, you had to also build extra mine carts. If someone comes along and removes one of the mine carts, it totally screws up the track. And I should mention too, creepers will blow this stuff up. keep creepers off your track. They will blow it up. It's a denial of service attack. So anyway, railroads are how we get around. You hop in a rail car, you let it go, you take a break, you walk away from the computer. You don't have to worry about getting killed or anything like that. So you can see here, is that the torches? Yeah. So I do the same thing here. I basically light them every 5 spaces. It's a waste to light both sides of the rail. You don't need to. And also, occasionally, your booster track will overlap with a light, and I'm so OC about stuff like that. I gotta have perfect symmetry, so lights on one side, redstone rails on the other. Because I don't want there to be a gap in my lighting. That would be unacceptable. So the other thing I want to show real quick too are the endpoints. Now here is an example of it going into a tunnel. This is a dangerous, if you don't do this right, this can be dangerous because again, monsters spawn up there and then they wander down onto the track. So that's not something that you want. So I always put a little fence. That's a fence. I don't know if you can tell, but I always put a little fence at the top of my tunnels so that monsters can't like wander onto my track. I also do these rail stations. So this is just a better example of a rail station. This is a transfer station. So this is where 2 of our rail lines come together. So here you have to transfer from, I don't know, the green to the blue or something like that. You know, one rail comes in this way, then you get off, you go downstairs, you hop on this one, and then actually this is that line. And this takes you to my new city. But the point here is it's elevated. Monsters can't get into it. You can't see the backside of it, but there is a door with a gate and a fence around it. And it's well lit inside, so monsters don't spawn in it. So this is my endpoint protection. This makes sure that my rail in between is secure and that monsters can't get onto my track. So, some observations. Lighting vulnerabilities are easy to overlook, and they're costly. If you let a creeper in your house, you will regret it. And I'm hoping these are all ringing bells for people here. A layered approach is useful for additional security, but it does not solve all of your problems. It is not a silver bullet, okay? So again, if you don't do your lighting correctly, a monster will spawn in your house and eat your brains. So all that time you spent doing perimeter stuff doesn't matter if you got creepers spawning in your house. There are a few single solutions to every attack type. You could build a box and you can live in the box, and then you never see a monster. So I tell people all the time in my company, you want it to be secure? We'll build a giant concrete dome and we'll drop it over the building and we'll cut all the cables and lines going into the building. Now it's secure. It's not very functional. So there aren't any single solutions to this. You have to employ a mixture of solutions and mitigations in order to achieve real security. And then finally, and most importantly, as you pointed out, good security is expensive. Good security isn't easy to do, especially in Minecraft, because the progressive system of building better and better security mechanisms requires time and investment for you to be able to achieve. So security is costly, and the trade-offs can be costly as well. For example, if you would prefer to run everywhere you can do so, you'll just consume more food. I prefer to spend more time mining, building my rails, getting iron, getting gold, and then building a nice railroad that I don't have to worry about, than running everywhere, but now I've got to farm constantly, I got to make sure I got food at all times. And then again, please keep in mind, we talked about 4 monsters today. There are 15, and there are actually 2 worlds in Minecraft. There's the overworld and the nether, and the nether is just... The nether would be like trying to practice information security. The nether is like taking your cell phone to Black Hat. So don't do it. Or using your cell phone at Black Hat, I should say. So here's my challenge to everyone. Go play Minecraft. Seriously, go home, play Minecraft, get your team together. It's a great way, it's a great team building exercise. Put out some requirements in the beginning like I did, stick to those requirements, and then try to maintain security in doing that. There are some other objectives out there too to make things fun. Have one player who's just an admin and he just comes on and just like spawns monsters the whole time for everyone else. That's really fun. Or he just like randomly zaps something with lightning or sets something on fire. These are cool ways to create interesting scenarios that everyone else has to try and respond to. So we have a little time. I want to do the fun thing that I plan to do because we actually made it through everything. I want to play a quick video for everyone. And if we run out of time and everyone needs to leave for the video, that's cool too. It's just a video. If I can find it. I don't know if we'll get sound or not. Nope, no sound. That's okay though. So this was a total mistake. This was just a fat finger, honestly. I tried to get a good run and jump, and then it just did not pan out here. I even tried to give myself a little bit more room. Ugh. This is just for fun.
Okay.
It'll make you a little nauseous. That happens, though. This also happens. This is one of the most frustrating things I can think of. Oh, there's lava under that block. This is just me getting my ass kicked constantly by a bunch of monsters. I had actually just spawned and I was trying to run back to my house, and I just like ran into this gigantic horde of monsters, and it took me a little bit to get away from them. This is the kind of crap I deal with on a day-to-day basis. Spider trying to suck my blood. There's a witch back there. There's a witch. We didn't talk about the witch. The witch throws potions which make you, which poison you and make you run slower. So you get a bunch of these things together and they can really screw you. But I got away. Really disappointed there's no music too. This is a good one. Spawning in at night is always dangerous. And that's why. Yep. That sucks too. It's happened to you guys before, right? Standing at the edge of a cliff. I just thought this was funny. I don't know why the spider was spinning around. And there he goes over that fence. And then here's some cave spiders. These things. Ugh. Yeah, I'd obviously been shot a lot by this point. It didn't take much to kill me there. And then this is the zombie attack. So I was okay as long as I was up here. They're clamoring for me. They can't get to me. Look, there's a little baby monster down there. See, they have baby zombies too. I don't know what the deal with that is, but this one catches me, knocks me down into the waiting arms of all the other zombies, and then I'm eaten. So it's just a kind of a quick look at all the different ways that you can die in Minecraft. But I would encourage everyone to give it a try. I think it will build some intuitive threat modeling knowledge, and it will at least tell you how to think about closing all those gaps and finding scenarios where you could still be at risk. Thanks for attending, and appreciate everyone's time. Yes, question?
Do you have an IP to your server?
No, not at all.
Do you have a Twitter?
I do have a Twitter, but I don't invite. I'm sorry, it's not open to the public. I get dude, I get griefers and people building giant, you know what's, all over my map. I can't have that. Can't have that.
Signs?
Huh? Yes, signs, big signs. That's what they build all over my map.